It's crunch time here in the studios of Austin Peay. Reese Britt, Christian Hunt, and Trey White out here with you guys again. Guys, the last crunch time of the season.
Yep.
That's crazy to think about.
Time flies.
Time flies.
Especially when you're having fun
and
doing stuff that we enjoy. And this is something that, at least for me, I think, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I enjoy the show very much. It's always fun to do. It's always fun to talk a little smack with the boys.
Yeah.
And girls in the back. Shout out to the girls in the back. But,
that's true. They'll shoot us a text every now and then when they have something they want to say.
Paige is like on it when we do like role players and we talk like WNBA or college basketball. Paige is on it, but shout out to them. But no, man, it's cutting down. Like you're practically done with school.
Yeah.
Me and oh boy right here who's about to graduate here in a little bit. Yeah, that's right. Put him on. But yeah,
congratulations.
We're almost done, man.
Yeah.
You got like days left.
I think I've got like maybe at most a week left.
Wow.
Yeah, if that.
That's crazy. Just want to remind you guys, we are the #1 Austin Peay sports podcast in the country. So when you give us a listen, just reach out to us on social media. You know, we always love to interact with you guys there. But, guys, I'm glad to see we're all doing well, back at it again. Let's get right into it. Austin Peay baseball. APSU is coming off a big series win over FGCU, that's Florida Gulf Coast University, taking 2 out of the 3 games. APSU lost game number 1, but took games 2 and 3 over the Eagles. How do we feel about it?
Well, you know, it seems like we're always talking about this, so we're kind of a broken record. I mean, obviously, winning the series is what's important, right? You beat, so you have the tiebreaker over Florida Gulf Coast, who I believe we are currently tied second with in the standings. But again, it's when you lose that one game, that can hurt you in the conference record. And so we've now slid out of first place. We're tied for second. So it's kind of a bittersweet. It's always like, hey, we won the series, but we could have gotten that third game. That could have at least kept us in the race for first. But got the win overall. Lyle Miller Green, I mean, that guy. What else to say about him? The dude's a stud.
Yeah. I talked to shout out Casey Kruger. He works with the athletic department. He came down and watched us play at conference. But I was talking to him, and I mean, I was just saying, Lyle Miller Green, this guy should not be at Austin Peay. This guy should be in the SEC somewhere, the ACC somewhere, and we're just lucky to have this guy in our lineup, in the field, on the bump, like wherever. Like just put him on. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like this guy just seems to show up game in and game out and just deal on the mound, and then also at the plate, he just puts barrel on ball. Like it seems like every time he steps up to the plate, like it's either a base hit or it's 450.
Yep.
Over left or center. So. It's just fun to watch a guy like that play the game of baseball. He's going to make a lot of money with the bat in his hand in his career. So I don't know where he'll get drafted. With the season he's having this year, he will get drafted. Now, if that's in the 8th round or if that's in the 18th round, I don't know. But it's one of those things that it doesn't matter where he gets drafted. He's going to rise up boards really fast.
Now, Trey, you could probably speak on this. I mean, we're talking about Lyle Miller Green getting drafted. I mean, so obviously, like your first round pick, like that's the same thing. It goes in football. Like those are your guys.
Yes. Those are basically your guys.
Yeah. So if he's in the 8th round, right? So where is he gonna? Is he gonna start off with rookie ball? Is he gonna start off maybe single A? Like where do you think he would start off? If best case scenario, he's 8th round.
I think at the very beginning he's probably going to be starting off with the rookie ball there because I think it's going to be normal unless they're just like absolute studs. Like there's so much not diamonds in the rough, but they are so much superstars already that you have to put them in single A immediately.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because I don't think it matters what round he goes in as long as he produces.
Yeah,
I
agree.
It does not matter what round he produces. It doesn't matter which when he starts in, as long as he continues to produce like in the majors, if he does get drafted there, then he's going to probably rise up quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at his sheer size. Like, that is a big league player, and he looks it. Like, when you watch him out on the field, like, he simply looks like a big leaguer with a bunch of college Division I baseball players. I mean, this dude's 6'5", 220 pounds. Like, dude, this guy's big. He looks like a big leaguer out there. And when scouts see him, like, that's the first thing they see is, oh my gosh, this guy's 6'5", 220. Like, you know, and he plays right field and hits third in the lineup. Like that, and you know, obviously you look
right
at it.
Field, he can be a DH. He can even pitch on some days.
He can pitch,
drive the bus, like whatever, cook the
whatever
meals, like whatever you need,
whatever
man.
you need,
He's got you.
But I do agree with what Trey was saying that like it doesn't matter what round you go in, as long as you start out where you start out and you keep producing every single level you're at. You know, like a Jackson Holiday, for example, with the Orioles, like, yeah, he was the first overall pick. He's not going to – I mean, he started out in rookie ball, but he just kept producing at whatever level that he was at. Now, he was the first overall pick. Lyle Miller Green's not going to be that. But as long as you keep producing at every single level you are at, they have no choice at that point than to bring you up.
And it's going to also depend on like whether or not his position ends up changing.
Exactly.
Because, for example, there was I want to say an outfielder for within the Cubs organization named Brandon Hughes. Now, Brandon Hughes started off as, like I said, an outfielder. However, with the Cubs with the Cubs farm at that point, along with all of the people they already had in the outfield, it was almost impossible for him to see like any consistent playing time. So they switched him from an outfielder into a relief pitcher, and he went out there and started doing extremely well with the Cubs at the start. He kind of pitted off towards the end of it, but he was a dependable reliever, but he grew into something that he was probably not that adept to. So maybe, for example, with Lyle Miller Green, he's a right fielder, he's a DH, he's a pitcher.
Pitcher, anything.
But he might end up having to be, like, for example, a third baseman at some point. Like, because of where he could potentially see any sort of playing time. He could end up being a catcher or even in just a role player at points. Just trying to find some sort of way to get out there as long as he's able to, like what we said multiple times already, produce and get and have that ability to adapt to any like positional changes, then he should be fine.
Yeah.
So you're saying Lyle Miller Green's going to join our podcast next year? Is that what I'm hearing?
Dude, that would be awesome to get him on. He's a really good guy. Yeah. But also going off of what you just said, you know, it also matters what team you get drafted to.
Yep.
Because if you get drafted to, I mean, obviously I don't follow all the MLB teams and rosters, but I do follow the Orioles quite religiously. I mean, that's my team. And so, like, let's say he does get drafted to the Orioles. Well, they don't have any room in their outfield for him to – that's what I'm saying, for him to rise up. Like, they've got guys in AAA that would start on half the teams in the major leagues. So it matters what team you go to, because if you can't rise up in the, you know, to the bigs – they really don't have a spot for you. They really just drafted you just because, oh, that's a good prospect. You know, like we want to trade him at some point.
It's interesting though with like you talk about like the AAA ball. Like nowadays, guys can spend years in AAA ball and have a really good career, make a really good living for themselves. I mean, there's a lot of guys for the Nashville Sounds that have gone on to the majors, but there's some guys that just kind of stick around. You know, and they'll go from team to team with AAA and. So I think the biggest thing with him is he's just got to be patient, you know, because, I mean, some guys, you know, they rise up pretty quick, like you said, but most of the time those are going to be your guys who are your first, second, third round picks, you know, the guys who you're really invested in.
Studs. Yeah,
so if you're an 8th round pick, if you're a 10th round pick, they're probably going to go with the guys they drafted before you. Now, granted, if you produce, then they're not going to care.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting. But if he keeps doing what he did against MTSU, you know, he's going to have a pretty successful career in baseball. And what he's done all year, I mean, MTSU, he goes 4 out of 5, 7 RBIs, like we talked about it earlier before the show. I mean, I don't care.
That's insane.
That's like video game
RBIs,
stats.
3 home runs.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what were you about to say before Christian said anything? Do you remember?
I do remember. So this is going to sound bad immediately, but for a team like potentially the White Sox, he could probably rise up extremely fast, because I don't know if you both watch it at all. The White Sox are god awful.
Dude.
The A's,
they're 3-20.
Too.
No, well, the A's actually are at least showing some progress.
Yeah.
The White Sox are just. The kind word is trash. Like, they're awful. They're not good at pitching. They're not good at relief pitching.
Man.
They're not good at defense. They're not good at offense. Like, that best offensive player is a role player in Gavin Sheets. Like, that's it.
They pay green, so, like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to win. You know, as an athlete, you want to win. But, like, if that's where you get your start, I mean, that is what it is. You know, you gotta hope somewhere you're going to at least have an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And then when we get on to the MTSU game here, I will say it was kind of an improvement for the starting pitching for them. Like, it wasn't, like, insanely good, but it was still better than what we've seen in the past because what was that one game where we had, like, a starter go in and then a guy almost immediately relieve him in that inning, and they gave up, like, a combined 10 runs.
I think it was last weekend. It was MTSU because they played 2 Tuesdays back-to-back. But, I mean, because Solomon Washington for us pitched 5 innings, and he only gave up 5 earned runs. So, I mean, that's 5 innings.
And 3 of them came in the first inning. The next 4, he only gave up 2. So that's great for college baseball.
If we can get a guy to go 5 innings and give up 5 runs, we got a chance in
Yeah.
any game.
Which sounds
not good.
in theory bad, but the way that we swing the bats, we're
doubling,
going to be okay.
We're doubling up the runs like every
we're
game.
Gonna be all right.
Yeah, Austin Peay's got the offense to go for.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry for going off on baseball again, but it reminds me so much of the Cincinnati Reds last season. Because the Cincinnati Reds last season, their bats were fantastic. Up and down the lineup, people you trusted to go in, get a hit, score a run. But the main problem was their pitching. Their starters, their relievers, they were not good.
Yeah.
And the offense almost carried them to the end, but the problem was they were a few games out because they did not have a starter outside of one who I believe was called up to be a rookie that year, Andrew Abbott.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Austin Peay has like that same. They kind of have like that same route going for them right now. They have an offense that could legitimately take you far. They're winning at a consistent rate too. It's not like they're going on these large spurts of like 5 to 10 games where they just can't win a single one. But they need some consistent pitching, whether it's starter, whether it's reliever, just somebody to go out there and at least produce 5 to 6 innings of work with at most 5-run ball.
Yeah.
And if you give up more, then you're asking a lot from your offense because no offense should go out there and basically be like, we have to score 9 runs in a 9-inning game to have a chance here.
Yeah.
And it seems like they have to score maybe multiple, like maybe times 2 that.
It's only, 9 is like the baseline. It seems like if we don't score like 15 at this point, it's not looking good.
But with all that being said, the Govs sit at 24-16 overall, 11-7 in the conference. They will face off next weekend against EKU. Austin Peay currently sits tied for second within the standings at 11-7, like I previously said. And there's a 3-way tie of first place between Stetson, Kennesaw State, and Jacksonville. The Govs have 4 series left within ASUN play, one of which is against top-ranked Stetson. That's going to be a huge matchup. What's the biggest message, real quick before we move on, what's the biggest message for the Govs to finish this season strong? I think you kind of alluded to it with pitching. You've got to find 3 guys, Friday, Saturday, Sunday starters, right, that you can consistently count on, and then you've got to find 3 or 4 guys in the bullpen that you can also consistently count on, to get outs.
And again, we sound like a broken record because it seems like we're saying this every week, but that's like my man to the left said, that's how you're going to separate yourself, right? Because, you take a look at the standings. We're 1 game out between the top 3 teams. 1 game. So now you keep winning the series, again, you're going to get the tiebreaker that's going to benefit you as well. But you have to find a way, and even if it's, instead of a starter with 3 relievers, hey, maybe bring in a guy every couple innings.
Yeah. Basically a spot starter, someone that can just eat innings.
Exactly. Like a guy go in for 2 innings, and we've kind of done that, and I don't know if it's just the wrong guys are at the mound or if it's a rhythm thing. Because, again, we've talked about this before, and, again, I'm not a baseball guy, but now the pitcher's got to make a decision and go.
Yeah.
He can't sit on a pitch for a minute and try to psych the hitter out. He's got to make a decision. He's got to go.
He's got to go.
So I think that's part of the reason, because, I mean, we're seeing runs across college baseball, Major League Baseball, just around the board, right? It's not just us, right? But we don't have – we really have – we have a couple guys who have played pretty well. We got to try to find a way to get Lyle Miller Green off the mound as much as possible, because he's the guy you rely on the other side. You can't have him pitching 4 innings every other game.
Yeah.
You've got to find a way to cut him down, just his workload a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm stoked to see what the Govs have for the rest of the season. They're a really good baseball team. And, you win the ASUN, you have a chance. You're probably going to be put in one of the tougher regionals, whether that's Fayetteville, whether that's Knoxville, whether that's
Nashville.
Well, it could be Nashville. Yeah,
it's kind of like what we mentioned earlier. They've got the offense.
Yeah,
they've
right.
got the offense
Gotta
to
find
go
pitching.
for. They've got to find some pitching.
And they've got the talent, because, I mean, we've
They
seen
do have the talent,
they've gone up against SEC talent and held their own. So they've got the ability to play against bigger opponents.
Right.
They just have to get that pitching in order.
Yeah.
And you gotta take care of the ASUN first. One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. One thing leads to another. If you handle your business now, everything's going to fall into place. So. But with that being said, I want to shift our attention to a social media reader here. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at APSU Crunchtime. That's, again, on Twitter and Instagram at APSU Crunchtime. Go follow us on socials. Interact with us. We always love questions, and we'll throw them in the rundown. If you guys ask us questions, we'll throw them in the rundown. We'll give you a shout-out. So,
unfortunately, it'll have to be next season. Cause
that's true. That's true. Next,
done.
Give us questions about football. Give us questions about football, because that's the next thing we're talking about. But moving on here, APSU softball. Austin Peay softball has broken their losing streak as they won the final game of the Queen Series with a whopping score of 1-0.
There we go.
Here we go.
Low scoring. That's the way we like it.
Low scoring affair. We love that. Pitching showed up, and the offense showed up for 1 run, which that was that's ideal. But ultimately, the Lady Govs did drop the series, losing 2 of the 3 games. The Lady Govs scored a total of 5 runs in the series, and they currently sit 18-26 with a record of 4-14 within ASUN play. They sit tied for last within the conference, as they are tied with Lipscomb and Stetson, and the Lady Govs will face off against Tennessee Tech today at 4 p.m. here at home.
You're mean for how you worded the rundowns. Just for they won a game.
You have to throw it.
But they lost the series.
You have to throw in the facts. You can't. I mean, listen.
We're not hiding the facts from anybody.
We're not homers here. We support the Govs, but we're not homers either. We're not going to be. We're not just going to gloss over the fact they lost the series. So
I know, but it's very bad wording, and it's like, they won a game. They lost the series.
But they lost the series.
Well, it's a positive. They ended the series on a positive note.
But I want to get to some more positive notes, because we do have some awards, / records to give out to the girls here. Jordan Benefield, the pitcher, has recorded her 50th career win at Austin Peay, making her the 3rd pitcher to do so for the Govs. Clap it up for her. And then Coach Casey Stanfill has now recorded her 130th career win at Austin Peay, making her the winningest softball coach here at Austin Peay.
That way, Coach Stanfield.
That way, Coach Stanfield. That's good work there. Congrats to both of them. Hopefully, she'll be here for more seasons to come. I mean, when you're the winningest, softball head coach in Austin Peay history, it's even if you have a season like this, you're not, like, in my eyes, like, you're not getting fired, because if you've won 135 games, and I mean, she's not been here for very long.
No,
I think she's been here for what, 4 seasons?
I think she's safe. I mean, again, you have a not great season this year. I mean, granted, they still have some ball to play, so who knows what happens. But no, I mean, listen, I think she's been one of the few coaches here at Austin Peay that's kind of been like a cornerstone, right?
Yeah.
We've seen football coaches come and go. We've seen basketball coaches come and go.
Trust me, we've seen basketball coaches come and
go. We've seen some turnover within the athletics department, but she's kind of been one of the few consistent presences within the organization. So I very much expect her to be back. I would be shocked if they make a move there.
Yeah.
It's just a bad year. It happens.
That's what I'm saying. And it happens in every single sport.
Yep.
I mean, it really does. You know, you got basketball the last 2 years. You know, you had football before. What's Coach Hutt or what was his name?
Well, it was
who was it before?
It was Hud, and then it was Healy before him. I mean, even Healy, he had his first year. He didn't win a game his first year, and then they turned it around.
And he turned it around. So like, and you know, with golf, you know, same way. So it's just like, you know, it happens. Like there's always years like this where you just don't have the right pieces. Maybe there's other teams in your conference that do have, you know, the rare accumulation of depth, experience, and age. You know what I'm saying? Because experience wins in college athletics. I want to make that noted. Experience wins in college athletics,
100%.
Especially when you have redshirt year and COVID year.
And then you got EKU, who's just like they've lost one ASUN game,
right?
And then they've lost 5 games total. So like EKU's kind of just said, softball's ours for this year. It's a race for second. Just get out of the way. So
I do feel kind of bad for the softball team because they're not really a bad team. Like they're 18-26. That's not great, but compared to
terrible.
It's not absolutely terrible. Like I've seen teams look much worse than this, where they couldn't win a game to save their lives, where they just couldn't hit, they couldn't pitch at all, and they end up being like 10-30. At this point.
Not good.
There's 4 teams within our own conference that have an overall worse record than us.
It's just
our conference record is just not good.
And why is that?
Because we can't win a game on the road to save our life.
It's not actually. The last series was at home.
Well, I mean, they've won. I think they won one road game within the conference though. Yeah. So it's like.
But I was meaning more so that. It's actually they haven't won an away game at all in the conference.
That's what I'm saying. They like for some reason our Lady Govs on the road. It just something shuts off.
Doesn't click.
It doesn't click.
Which that's okay for for this season. You know that's we've kind of chalked this up to what it is. You know, I mean it's just not the right group of cumulative girls to go out there and win consistently. And that's okay. It happens in sports throughout the board. So
the problem isn't even like their pitchers either. It's just their offense is awful.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of baseball.
Like I'm going
opposite.
I just got like a list here, all right, of the games they have. Here's the runs in total they've scored, all right? 4-2, 4-2, 6-0-0, 4-2, 2-3, 3-2, 2-1.
Yeah, that's a
they
lot. They
have not scored over 10 runs.
That's a lot of single digits.
The runs that they've allowed: 5-3-0, 5-3-8, 2-5-6, 7-4, 11-4, 7-0.
They've given up over 10 runs in one game.
And
over what you just said.
And over 7 runs in 2 of them.
Yeah,
that's
not wild.
Oh, no, sorry, 3 of them. No.
There's only like a couple games that you can look at the pitching and they got away from them. You know, I mean, you take a look at Queens. They gave up 7 the second game.
Yeah.
The last game against EKU.
They gave up 11.
Is fine because it's EKU.
Dude, it's EKU. Yeah, like
and they scored. And then they almost won that second game too.
But it's like you mentioned. It's not like they're losing 20-0.
Yeah,
it's competitive.
It's just their offense can't do it.
Yeah, they cannot score a run, and it's so weird because again we talked about it with basketball. It was the exact same thing.
Yep.
Our offense in our men's basketball was pretty solid. Defense was shady at sometimes. But our defense was really good, but our offense couldn't hit a 3 to save their life.
Yeah.
And now it's in baseball and softball. Our offense in baseball, our guys can put bat on ball. Seems like whatever time they want.
But
pitching stinks for the most part. And then the softball,
it's the exact opposite.
Jordan Benefield and the rest of the pitchers are doing their thing, and we cannot score a run to save our life. So I don't know. I don't know what it is with our other sports. It's just like, it's so weird. But hey, they broke because I mean they lost the first 2, so the losing streak was 9. I think then at that point,
it was 9. Yeah.
9, so they're on a 1-game win streak
and had only won 1 game in their last. No, 2 games in their last what looks like 15.
Okay, that's pretty. Yeah, that's not ideal.
Hey, we're gonna start a new streak.
Yeah, we're gonna start a new streak.
We're gonna extend this streak today against Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, that's right. But the next ASUN action the Govs will face is this weekend at home versus Florida Gulf Coast. So,
which is second in the conference. They are
Yeah.
14-4. They're 31-15 overall. So,
However, they're away they aren't as good on the road.
but it's at home. Yeah.
definitely-
it is at home.
Yeah.
It is home.
Yeah. So Florida Gulf Coast. Yeah, we'll
So
see.
hopefully-
Catch them slipping.
Yeah. Take a series. Take the,
Yeah, take the series.
Let's
Why
hope.
not?
yeah.
At this
Why
point-
not? Why
At
not?
this
Why
point,
not
just
the
play
Govs?
spoiler. That's
Yeah.
Yes, honestly, yeah. That's it's not a good place to be, and as an athlete, you don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
But it feels really good. Like
'Cause
it
it
feels
takes-
so good
Because it
to-
takes the pressure off. You can just play
Yeah,
loose.
you just
And
play.
Listen, if a couple things go their way, try to scratch your way. I mean, I don't think you have a chance to have a winning season, but I mean, you can get your way to 500 maybe. Just try to finish the season strong.
Yep.
Send the seniors out the right way. I don't know how many seniors we got, but send whoever the seniors
Mm-hmm.
are the right way, and then try again next year.
Absolutely. But for 5 minutes left, I want to talk a little bit about what we have last on the show, men's golf.
Save the best for last.
Definitely not the best. So the men's golf team went down, played conference this past weekend at it was RTJ Highland Oaks. It's where they have a Corn Ferry second stage Q school. So that's basically like if you get past second stage, you got final stage, and then from final stage you can earn your Corn Ferry Tour card, which is like AAA baseball. PGA Tours, major leagues, AAA is Corn Ferry Tour. So tough course, tough conditions. I mean, scores across the board. Last year conference, the winning score was 54 under par for 3 rounds for a team. This year, the winning score was 13 under par.
Yeah.
So quite a stark difference. They saw the scores last year and they were like, all right, we've got to do something about this. We can't have a team in conference winning with 54 under par. So they made it tough. They tucked pins. We finished 11th in the conference tournament, which is not ideal. We didn't play well, but that's golf sometimes. And, we talk about that all the time. Golf knocks you down more and you lose more in golf than any other sport in the book. That's just how it is.
But you performed the best out of all the golfers we had.
Yep.
So shout out to you.
I appreciate it.
You
Yeah.
played your best.
Yeah,
And
the middle round got away from me a little bit. It was on the greens where I really struggled the second day. But I struck the ball well all week. Was making birdies, doing everything I needed to do to shoot under par in the first and third round. Just a couple swings got away from me and made some bogeys in some weird spots. But all in all, it's at the course that it was at, you shoot one over, you were golfing your ball. You were golfing your ball. So, but it's that's just how it is. I mean, golf sometimes it'll get to you, and it got to us this week. I mean, it was kind of a whole storm of what was going on around us that affected what we did on the golf course.
Yeah.
We had to take a flight instead of driving down there. That wasn't our decision. That was somebody else's decision. And so, somebody else's decision affected the team and I think how we played and how we went about the week. So sucks to see that, but
I would say because Dothan's not that.
It's 6 hours.
It's a lot farther than I thought. Never mind. I don't know. I guess anything in like Alabama, I'm kind of like in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah. But it is at the bottom of Alabama. It's in the bottom. It's the bottom right corner of Alabama. So I
Yeah.
take back what I said.
well, so this is what we did. We flew out of Nashville. We flew to PCB, Panama City Beach Airport.
PCB.
Yep, and then we drove an hour and 50 minutes to the golf, to where we were staying in the golf course, right? So when it's all said and done, it's like we didn't really save any time, and so that's kind of where we were at. We had to stay last night instead of driving back and sleeping on our own bed, last night. So we flew back this morning. I didn't get in till 10 o'clock this morning, so
Yep.
I'm dragging a little bit, but it was good. It's always fun to compete, and especially to compete against those type of teams, top 50 teams in the country, regardless of division. So it's always good to do that. But all in all, it was, we just didn't play our best, and you just kind of have to chalk it up to that. Next season's right around the corner. Right
No
around
doubt.
the corner. But that'll do it here for Crunch Time today. I want to say huge shout out to Trey. He's graduating. This is his last Crunch Time episode, so kudos to him. You've been huge behind the scenes, and then now of recent, you've taken on kind of a different role, and you've you've been awesome in that role. So we want to give you kudos there. But we want to also thank you, Doc V, for using the studio all semester and all year. David Ellison, Steve Sawyer, GAs Isabella Clarity, and Paige Hearn. We want to thank all of them because they're the ones that ultimately do everything. We just talk about the show. Yep. So for that, that's Crunch Time.